Hey y'all, welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and today we're going to talk about some recent reads that I've been loving. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the arcs that I've recently received and what I've been reading from authors that have been my 5-star reads before. Now, first and foremost, I want to talk about what I am currently reading. I am currently in a chokehold. Like, Elizabeth Stevens, this is her hand on my neck because I am currently reading Shadowlands Omega, and I'm about 36 to 40% of the way through, and I'm having the time of my life. Like, if Elizabeth Stevens has 5 fans, I am 1. If Elizabeth Stevens has 1, she is me. If she has no fans, I am dead, and this is me asking you to take up my mantle, because Shadowlands Omega, which comes out this week as you're reading it, or as you're seeing this video. Now, for me, it's next week, but this comes out on the 19th, I want to say, and y'all, do yourself a favor. First and foremost, let me tell you, pick up Dark City Omega. First, if you like fantasy romance, if you like Omegaverse, hell, if you don't, pick it up anyway, because I didn't think that I was going to be able to top this. Again, this is the first in the series, so reasonably so. She said, yeah, you're going to love this, but you're going to salivate over this one. And she is absolutely correct. Now, I did get this as an advanced reader copy. I have a version on my Kindle, and magnificent. Again, I made it 25%. I'm not even going to say I made it 25% of the way. And instantaneously, I knew that this was going to be the book for me. However, 25% of the way in, I'm saying it's a 5-star. Am I finished? No. Do I have plenty to go? Yes. Do I foresee this being less than a 5-star? No, I do not, because I am absolutely feral about this book. If somebody wanted to take a picture with it was like, hey, you've got the newest release, it's hot in the streets, hand it to me, I just want to take a picture for the gram, pry it off my cold dead hands. That is how I feel about Kianda and Yaren. Yaren, the way that Yaren feels about her is how I feel about them. Like, I am so invested into this romance that it's sickening. I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to roll over and grab the book. Like, I've got things to do today. But you think that's going to get my mind off of the way that this man is caretaking for her? Like, he is the lord of his lands. He is the supreme berserker. But he is a simp for her. He is a good boy for her. She is his master. And don't get me wrong, Kiana is deserving of it, because baby, she wills the power to burn the shit to the ground, and she says no. I don't want to control anything but you, my guy. Like, you are the person that I want to do my bidding. And he's like, baby, I'm gonna do it. The man has the supreme acts of service love language, which is my top love language. Like, this man has never cooked in a day in his life, but you know what he's gonna do? Cook for this woman with the help of the family. I just read the scene where he declares his interest to the family, and he puts some people in places where they can protect and serve, but he also puts others in their place. And when he goes into that kitchen and lays down the law, you could have slurped me up with a straw. That is how much of a puddle I was. I am having the time of my life. This is, I've gone too far. This is in my mind, you can tell me otherwise, but what I'm thinking is that this is a Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast retelling. Like, she decided, I'm going to pick 2 princesses. I don't want just one storyline. I'm going to give you both. She is going to lose a shoe every time. He is going to bend down and put a shoe back on her foot. Yes, that is Cinderella. But it's also giving Beauty and the Beast. Like, she is his beauty, and she is Belle all through and through. He is like, I will give you every piece of my kingdom. I am the grumpy pharaoh beast, and if they want to get to you, they have to come through me. And I'm going to lock you up on the castle type ordeal. That is what this book is given. In addition to the fact that, again, this is Omegaverse, which there's one thing about Elizabeth Stevens, I do not like. All of the tropes that she has, I don't like. Omegaverse wasn't for me. Made a liar out of me. Sci-fi romance wasn't for me until, boom, here you go, me buying special editions. That is the power in which Elizabeth has over my body and my wallet, apparently. I will tell you that in addition to this being some, fairy tale retellings, this is Fated Mates. This is touch her and you're out of there. This is Us Against the World. I am loving this. Again, this is the second in the series, so I highly encourage you to pick up Darkseid Omega. I am going to see Elizabeth Stevens 2 weeks from today at a Polycon, and when I see her, she's going to hear a banshee woman yelling and screaming and running up to her. Security, please do not stop me. I need her to know what she's done for me. This is the type of romance that I desire for myself. Like, I will lay waste to the lands, but I will lay myself down at your feet. That is what this is giving. Like, she told him, you're my lord out in the streets, but inside this bedroom, you bow down to me. And that just is what did it. There is good boy and good girl trope in here that just sends me off a cliff. Now, speaking of cliffs, I want to talk about this book, which is Kennedy Ryan's latest release, This Could Be Us. I have a character in here that could use said cliff and take a very long walk off of it. If you know, you know, Edward, your days are numbered. As I'm reading this book, I am getting irate. I'm actually going to insert some clips here of how this book had me feeling about said character.
I am sick. But this red is the red of my rage at Edward. Like, this also signifies the burning place in hell that I hope he has waiting on him. Like, Edward could eat a bag and choke on them while being set aflame. And I wouldn't tell Soledad to lift a pinky. The man deserves the worst life has to offer him. Ooh. Personally, the only, character that I dislike more than Edward is Longshot. And he got what was coming to him. I honestly hope that, Kennedy do us this solid and run that back again, but I don't think she's gonna do that. She said, I might give you one. I don't think I could give you two. The publishers is not gonna let me get away with that. But I personally believe that, if he goes to prison, it's a high probability he gonna be caught. And what a way for her to, wrap it up for us. So, we're just gonna see.
Now, I was on my proverbial deathbed. Like, I am sick and in the trenches while reading this. And somehow the love between Judah and Soledad and what love that they had for their kids, yes, that kept me nourished. But what kept me going was the thought process that I was going to see the demise of Edward. Like, I just knew revenge was one of the things that was sustaining me throughout the book. Like, I was nourished by their relationship, but I was sustained by my disdain for this character. Yes, I know that is not the thing, but every dog has a day. And I was just waiting to read the day that Edward's going to have his day because, baby, he deserved. This book right here has so many warring opinions on it. I know a lot of people think about this as a women's fiction and really don't like it for the fact that the romance wasn't necessarily primary first and foremost. I'm going to tell you to think about this as an unconventional romance, because in the world of romance, we subscribe to what a happily ever after looks like. We have a very succinct picture that is always drawn time and time again. This fits outside of that, but so many things about this book does, and that's why I love it. The longer that I'm away from it, the more I appreciate it, because it does everything that I've asked for it to do. I've asked for me to have more mature characters. Both of these characters are in their 40s. They have both been married before. They have experienced life to the fullest, right? They have lived life, gone through the highs and also gone through the lows, and know what they have to offer the world. And this is truly what it means to put your family and their needs first above all things else. Judah is an exceptional father. He has 2 kids that are on the autistic spectrum, and he devotes so much of his time and effort to being a primary caregiver for them. And it's beautiful to see that representation of what a Black man in the household can do and how much he is able to pour in and what that in turn does for his kids. Now, one of the things that I love about the Skyland series in general, you get to see fathers and their child rearing days and seeing how much of an importance we need to put on our Black fathers being in our families, because they hold a stable figure that is sorely being messed out here. So I loved getting to see Judah. And I also appreciate Kennedy Ryan for doing a number of things. One, she showed what a co-parenting family relationship dynamic looks like. You see that Judah has no animosity between him and his ex-wife. They are actually friends. They do their best that they can to nurture and provide for their children. She is remarried. She is moving on with her life. Her new husband understands the dynamic and the importance that he has to play in this entire relationship and how their family grows. This is the family that is really centered and at its nebulous and at its core is focused on the 2 children. And I love being able to see that, right? This is what we always want for families that necessarily the mother and the father don't work out, but that does not mean that they cannot coexist and do the best that they can to use what love they had and redirect it into the household. So I love getting to see that. I also loved that Kennedy did something amazing with Soledad's character. Soledad is a homemaker, and I will be one to say that I had a preconceived notion of what that means. But the way in which that Kennedy writes Soledad and how she is so accomplished, right? She is a studious woman. She has a strong foundation in her education. She is capable of so many things, but what she chooses to do is to use everything that she has learned and all of the things that she has gathered over her course in time and invest them in her 3 daughters. How she does not, no matter what happens with her husband or the father of her children, she doesn't use what's happened to her against her children. And she decides to pour in and show all of that love 2 times over to make sure she's caring for all parties. And making sure that she doesn't let her story become a dimmed light that puts her children in a certain nature. She is giving to her community, giving to others. She is self-sacrificing, and she is able to become inventive. But let me tell you, when she went in that, garage or man cave and she wrecked shop, that scene will forever live in infamy. I am going to tell you that if you are a Kennedy Ryan stan, do not miss out on the beauty that is this book. I cannot wait to read Hendrik's book because she is truly my favorite out of the friend group, and I can't wait to see what Kennedy has in store for her. I am going to go ahead and show you all a clip of me getting to go to see both of these ladies on tour and just get experience of what it was like to be in that room.
Oh my God. Hi guys. Hey. How is everybody tonight? Look at this crowd. Hello? 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 I hear you. Okay. Is it on?
Yeah.
Hey.
We, where?
Now, another author that I read from recently who had a new release come out earlier this month, I had an art copy of that I absolutely had to get my hands on, which was Jump Ball by Keisha Thompson. Now, I read this one because last year I received an art copy of Defensive Stance, and this was one of my top 10 reads from 2023. Like, nobody is holding a flame to Sloane and Deck. Like, I love them down as a couple, and it truly shows. But I was like, okay, well, let me see what she does with book 2, because we got to meet Soraya's father, who Soraya is our female main character. She has recently acquired a basketball team from her father who has passed. Now, her father was the owner of the Ramblers, which we got to meet in Defensive Stance. Let me tell you one thing. Keisha Thompson keeps it solid. She said y'all don't like the man in this book, and y'all still not gonna like the man after he's been deceased. And that holds true. I do understand. But Soraya is not her father, but she has the image and the confidence of her father. And I love that, because she is a boss babe in her own rights. And that's probably one of the things that I love her so much for. In addition to Keisha Thompson doing something supreme for me, we just talked about Kennedy Ryan and Soledad and how much her entire, persona is built around being a homemaker and a provider. And I would say that Soraya is the character foil to Soledad, in the fact that Soraya doesn't necessarily want kids. She knows, and she is very confident about what her future holds. And I love that in today's age, not everyone wants the, again, same version of a happily ever after. Soraya is about her business, and her kingdom and her domain has only grown and expanded. And she is very confident in saying, hey, yes, I can date a man like Justice, who is our male main character. I can date him, and I can become a part of his family dynamic, because Justice has 2 twin girls who are both 14, Ebony and Janae, and she folds into their family so nicely, and they have this cohesive familiar unit without her feeling like she has to add to the family dynamic. She knows, hey, above all, I want to give birth to my business, and I want to be able to hold my father's legacy up, and I want to do all of these things, and I want to love you in addition to loving your family. But that doesn't necessarily mean I need to be a mother. And those are the things that we need to see. Most times, writers can write stories that's either about choosing a career or choosing your happiness and joy and love and family. And that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. And I appreciate Keisha for doing that in this book. I came into this not necessarily sure whether or not I was going to love it as Defensive Stance. And be clear, these two couldn't be more different. This one is spicy to the T. Like, these two are freak nasty, whereas this one here, this has a little bit of power play, and I do enjoy the romance and the spice being matched and mirrored with ambitions and goals, and, establishing a long love that is settled. You have these two who are hot as hell for one another, but these two are molded and cooled, and they just gel well together. I'm going to tell you that there was a time, though, Jump Ball had me a little bit concerned, and I'm going to go ahead and insert a clip here, because I was like, ooh, I don't really know how I feel. So let's watch the clip, and then I'll come back.
Okay, y'all, hear me out. I am doing a quick little check-in. I'm using a new mic, testing it out to see how I like it. Now, I am just about 50% of the way through Jump Ball, and I've got concerns, because how do we get here? How do we get to the point where the man was talking about, I'm trying to figure out ways to make this woman my wife? Sir, she literally just met your kids 2 seconds ago. Like, y'all don't even know if y'all are compatible to be husband and wife. Now, I'm all for he falls first. I am all for him wanting to put a ring on it and lock it down, because he knows when he sees a good thing. But this is a little sketch, because, again, pacing wise, we were just so wrapped up in the lust of it all, and we were just like, objectifying her for her body. Again, banging body, 5'10" stallion woman. I understand why, but by no means were we in the point of us talking about marriage. This is where I'm confused. Now, I love Keisha Thompson, so I'm gonna ride with her and see where she's taking me. But I'm just a little bit concerned at the pacing of how we got here. And again, not my business. I know when a man knows, he knows, but I've got questions. I'm gonna give you all some additional thoughts as I wrap up this video. I just want to come in and check in to say that. Let's see.
Now, I say I don't know how I feel because Justice rubbed me a little bit wrong, you know, a few times. And it wasn't even the big thing. Again, we all know that there's always going to be some type of miscommunication. However, my concerns was Justice felt a little wishy-washy to me, and I didn't like that. Well, you have Soraya here. She is strong and firm in her womanhood, right? She is 10 toes down. Justice was a little bit wishy-washy to me, and I didn't like that. So I will tell you that while this is not my favorite Keisha Thompson's book, I think a lot of people do love it and really will enjoy it. And I'm going to keep reading from the series because I have a sneaking suspicion that the third book is going to have Colin Pratt in there. And I want to see what that's about. So Keisha Thompson, don't worry, girl. You got me on the hook still. I believe I gave this probably like a 3.5. I wasn't necessarily ready to give it a 4 because, again, the main male character rubbed me a little bit wrong way. But all's well that ends well. And that's all I'm going to have for you today. I have one more recent read. I'm waiting for it to come into the mail, but I'll talk about that in another video. I think this is good for now. I am going to keep reading Shadowlands Omega, and I'm going to come back and let you all know. But in the meantime, do me a favor. Yaren wields his axe like nobody's business, and he actually has a scene in here where he uses that axe on a member in the woods, and woo! I was like, yeah, you protect your woman. So do me a favor, leave me an axe in the comments, and if you don't want to do that, tell me your most recent read that you've been loving, that you've given 5 stars to, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.